What are the elements of a crucial conversation? It's a question I get asked all the time. If you've been up at night reliving a conversation that went badly, or if you are up at night fretting over a tough conversation you need to have, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to describe what we mean by crucial conversations, and then I'm going to provide 4 key elements to help you initiate and succeed in even your most challenging conversation. Ultimately, our goal is to help you master the art of having crucial conversations. I'm Bob Bordone. I'm a senior fellow at Harvard Law School, and I've been teaching and coaching people to have crucial conversations for nearly 25 years. Let's put a definition on crucial conversations. It's really any conversation that you experience as really hard to have. Something that maybe causes you anxiety, keeps you up at night, might implicate issues or people that you care about. It's a conversation that maybe has the capacity to be hurtful or upsetting to you or to others. We are surrounded by these in our personal and professional lives all the time. Before you enter into a crucial conversation, you want to be aware of 4 key elements or steps that are part of these conversations. The first of these is to be really clear and explicit about your purpose for having the conversation. Being clear and purposeful sounds easy, but it can be hard in a crucial conversation, and there's a number of reasons why. Sometimes part of what makes this conversation difficult for us is that we have some ambivalence ourselves about whether we want to have the conversation. So on the one hand, we may think it's important. We may realize if we don't have this conversation, things will only get worse. We may realize we can't move forward either in this relationship or with ourselves without having the conversation. At the same time, we're also worried. It might go poorly. I might mess up. They might say something that's hurtful. Things could get worse. That ambivalence is important to name as part of your preparation, because naming that ambivalence helps you clarify and make more certain why we're still proceeding with the conversation. As part of this initial piece, I want to make sure that when I'm beginning the conversation, that I'm doing it at a time that actually works for the other party. Something that I have observed in my coaching and work around crucial conversations is that they are so anxiety-ridden that sometimes we just blurt them out. Like it's been on our minds for maybe days or weeks, and suddenly it's like 10:30 at night, and like our partner is like in the kitchen getting some ice cream, and we're like, this is the moment I'm gonna do it. And we feel good about it, right? Because it's like, I'm finally doing this. But chances are, that's an incredibly awful, bad time to have the conversation. So if I know what my purpose is, and then I explicitly find a time that works for the other side, I'm going to be better aligned for success in that conversation. Second important element to succeed in a crucial conversation is to move from what I call truth to perceptions. So what do I mean by that? We go into the conversation knowing who's right, who's wrong, and what needs to happen next. The problem with this is that in the real world, we are actually much more susceptible to missing lots of important information that actually fill out the puzzle. In other words, because we have a certain viewpoint, we observe certain things about the dynamic and we miss other things. If I can move from the idea that I've done my homework and therefore I'm right and they're wrong, to instead saying, I have some views based on what I've noticed and observed, I suspect the other side does as well, and then begin that conversation with an interest and desire to learn more about how they see it, it's going to be much more of a successful joint learning conversation. Let me just walk you through a little example right now. So sitting in your room or wherever you're watching this, I'd like you to just look around the room and on a piece of paper, write down everything you notice that is the color blue. And I'm going to actually give you 10 seconds to do this. Okay, so pause this video right now. Okay, so now you've written everything that you've noticed in your room that is blue. So now I want you to close your eyes. So literally close your eyes. And now I want you, just to yourself in the room, if you can, call out aloud all of the things in the room that are green. Okay, great. Keep your eyes closed. Now I want you to call out all of the things in the room that are blue. If you are like most people, your list of things blue is much longer and louder than your list of things green. Now, here's the news report. My guess is that it's not the case necessarily that there are fewer green things in the room in which you are sitting right now. It's simply the case that because I asked you to pay attention to blue things, you noticed and remembered more of them, and then when I suddenly ask you to mention green things, you're kind of lost. Well, actually, in crucial conversations, that same dynamic is always in play. We have a story about the other person, and so then we start to observe things selectively, not because we're being difficult or manipulative, just because as human beings, we can't notice everything going on. And then if we go into this conversation saying 80% of the things are blue and only 10% are green, we've shut off an important place of learning. But if we instead say, I have noticed many blue things, I suspect there's a whole bunch of other things I missed, and we're curious, now we're going to have a much more productive conversation. Third important element of crucial conversations relates to handling emotions openly. So part of what makes many conversations challenging and difficult is at their heart, emotions are what's driving them. A common error in these conversations is that we think emotions are the problem. And so we hide them, or sometimes we censor them, right? We say, oh, well, emotions that are positive are fine, but emotions like jealousy or envy or anger or sadness or pride, those are bad emotions. In fact, one of the ways to be more successful in a crucial conversation is first to be aware of and in touch with our own feelings, and then secondly, to be on the lookout for their own feelings, some of which we may see and others may be hidden. Now, at times, and certainly not always, at times it actually might be appropriate to consider sharing some of those emotions. And if you're doing this, I want to be clear that you can share emotions without being emotional. And in fact, you can share emotions without putting a moral valence or value on them. Fourth important task in dealing with crucial conversations is looking for and managing possible identity triggers. So part of what can make many conversations really complicated is that right below the surface, there are a lot of identity triggers in play. For example, imagine a child telling a parent that they are not going to get married in a church. To that adult child, it might simply see as this is simply about a decision on whether to get married in the church. And so if you're that adult child, you might get really angry and really defensive if your parent starts to fight with you. In fact, you might say, gosh, what is wrong with this person? All they care about is being embarrassed in front of their friends because we're getting married on a beach instead of a church. They're just not supportive of me. For you as the adult child in this case, the identity trigger is a feeling that you're not being prioritized. But actually for the parents here, there may be an entirely different identity trigger. The decision not to be married in a church, for them, may send a signal that they have failed as a parent. And hitting that identity trigger can cause all sorts of negative emotions and escalation. So anything that I can do in having this crucial conversation to manage and minimize a blowup around an identity trigger is going to make me much more successful. When I'm preparing for and thinking about a crucial conversation, I want to do four things. I want to spend some time thinking about what my purpose is and then being clear and explicit in that purpose. Second, I want to be able to move from a stance of truth, the idea that I have all the answers and my job is to persuade them, to a stance of perceptions. There's some things I see and there's some things that I miss. Third, I want to identify the emotions that are coming up for me and the other side, and I want to consider under the right circumstances whether I might share them. And lastly, I want to be able to manage both my own and the other's identity triggers. To keep on learning more about crucial conversations and the skills that make them successful, watch this next video, The Qualities of a Good Mediator. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I'm Bob Bordone. Thanks for watching. Okay, you want to improve those skills, so make sure you watch this next video.